Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Week 8 of the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship. I am, as always, Mitch at Replays Anderson, and today joined by a new face on the broadcast, Josh Kana Ayano. How are you going today, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited to actually be on for this for the first time. As you did say, I am a new face, and I'm excited to get into the game today.
Yeah, today we've got a very special matchup coming at you guys. We've got TSS versus SPS, the Southport School versus St. Paul's School. Two teams in the middle of the pack right now. This is our last round before we go into tiebreakers and eventually playoffs after that. So it's very important for both these sides to get a crucial win to make sure they don't have to fight for their spot next week in the tiebreaker rounds. As you see the ladder coming up to the left there, both these sides are in the middle bit. Our top kind of 8 teams are kind of locked in at the moment, but there's a very big pack of teams around there sitting at the 11 win mark. So for SPS especially today, it's very crucial they compete and get a win here.
Yeah, they definitely want to be able to secure that victory, to secure that spot in the playoffs. However, I do think as well that, that TSS will want to try to claim that victory to propel themselves up the ladder that little bit, just so that they seem a little bit more threatening. And it would be definitely good to carry that momentum into the tiebreakers and playoffs of whatever we're making after.
Exactly right. It's about having that good mentality, that ability to work together as a team when you're coming into these tougher games, games that mean a bit more than just a regular season game. And in a game like League of Legends, it's very hard to transition from that casual play style to something that really matters when you're getting into these later and later championship matches. But before we get into the rest of the pre-roll broadcast today, I would like to give a shout out once again to our sponsors, Lenovo, or Legion by Lenovo, sorry. Lenovo's Legion gaming brand is designed for work and play. It's got very stylish hardware that performs excellently across the board, no matter if you're using it in a work setting at home as your casual monitor, or of course when you're a high-level gaming play. They're very happy to support Queensland High School esports, as at the moment it's in a very exciting spot, and it's providing great opportunities for students outside of traditional sporting routes and offering them better careers in not traditional ways, especially in the sporting arena. Lenovo especially believes in smarter technology for all, and they're currently or constantly working on developing better and faster and cheaper technologies to bring the best technology to you guys much cheaper. And they're very proud to partner with the Queensland High School program run by University of Queensland Union Esports.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, it's good to see them coming out and supporting high school esports. So a little bit more about our sides. Obviously, Josh, Kana, I don't remember to call you that.
I don't mind. Up to you.
That's been obviously not involved in history, but historically these two sides did very well last year. I believe SPS were either our finals or semi-finals last year. So, in the top 4 best teams in Queensland. Obviously, a lot of their players have moved on, given they were year 12s. But regardless, there's still a good opportunity for them to still prove that they are there among the top teams. Obviously, not as good as they were last year, but that's kind of expected when you got to transition through it. And it's one of those things you're going to see a lot of these schools kind of flip-flop. Like, we've got a whole new pack of teams at the top this year. The only one that's kind of returning is Intrapilli, that was quite good, that has stayed at the top. And TSS as well. I don't believe they made playoffs last year. I think they fell at the tiebreaker stage. But I think they are in a comfortable enough spot that if they lose today, they might still be safe from tiebreakers, but it's still important that they make sure getting that 13th win secures that playoff spot, or the SPS really need to get a win to make sure they're even in the top 16 to work towards one of those playoff spots.
Yeah, and as you spoke about briefly in regards to the teams who had to rebuild their rosters from the ground up after their players graduated and moved on, it is something that is really paramount to just moving forward as an organization, as a school, and moving into the esports scene. You always want to be able to cycle through your players when they move on, build a competitive roster time and time again. It's like actually normal sport. You'll watch it for the NFL, NRL, footy, and AFL in general. You'll watch them cycle their rosters. Someone moves on, they look for young talent while they have seasoned players who they can train up and get ready to take the place of the veterans when they decide to move on. So I'm really glad to see that some of these schools have a chance to prove that they can do something like this.
Yeah, especially when you're getting involved in speaking to a lot of teachers, and you're hearing a lot of these schools that are developing these in-house systems and playing a lot of tournaments. I believe our current top team at the moment, Mansfield, has got 2 teams in the top 8, I think, and they've got 5 teams at school that are currently scrimming every week and putting in practice at a certain day. And we had obviously the teacher that's running the program on last week, and he gave us a great insight into the way they're working as a team. And you see that the schools that have these systems in place are going to continue to get better and better. Our champions last year, Kelvin Grove, I don't think even close to the top. And you can see teams like Chisholm, who had a really good esports kind of development program set up, are really working towards that, and they are competing again this year. So I think the more and more years this program goes on, and the better and better it gets, the more likely we are to see these teams and schools compete at higher and higher levels.
I'm kind of jealous myself personally. I graduated like 6 years ago now,
yeah,
and I feel it's actually such a privilege to be able to like participate in something like this, even though I'm not a student anymore. And I'm sure that's what the students and I'm sure the teachers involved feel the same way, because I am jealous right now, and I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, especially because I only graduated 2-3 years ago. I'm only 3 years out of school, so I only just missed this by about 2 years. So unfortunate for that, didn't get to get involved in this fantastic program, especially given the fact that my school was one of the first schools to kind of jump in and adopt to it. So I definitely would have been involved. We're doing, I think, Somerset is where I graduated from. We're doing pretty all right at the moment. I think they're top 8 or something.
Nice.
So they're looking good. Unfortunately, though, if you are wondering, I forgot to just where Max actually is. Formal is currently casting Rocket League for, I don't know who he's casting for, but he double booked because he got given New Zealand times instead of Queensland times. So committed to that a little bit.
I don't mind. I'm here, so you know what? Hopefully I can make you guys happy, just like Formal would.
Yeah, and we should be getting back. The game should start about 4:30, so I got 4 more minutes. Josh, do you want to run through? Maybe let's go through the patch that just came out. Last week, right?
Oh, this is what is it? 10.4? No, 10. I'm trying to think of it. It's the one where
10.9, I think.
10.9.
It's supposed to be an MSI patch.
Okay, so before going into 10.9, I want to briefly go into what I think what 10.8 was. But that 10.8 would have been one where the Galio changes came through that actually made Galio support a lot more viable, where the hero's entrance will actually grant the Galio magic shield onto all of his allies based on his health. So like a late game Galio, for example, can pull out some huge shields for the rest of his team. Occasionally, you'll also see something like Set. He's been nerfed down into the ground a little bit, but he's still being played a little bit in support with something like Omnistone. Occasionally, we'll see him top lane. Ornn, however, is in a really fun place right now. Not necessarily because he is insanely broken, but some of those carries, like the Xayah, is in a like Xayah, like Draven, are in really good places. And just that constant crowd control effects from the Call of a Forge God, the Bellows Breath, just makes it so much easier for the carries to help out. I'm just trying to think. Echo as well is in a really good place. I believe he got changes in 10.8 or 10.9 as well. But in general, he's been S tier for at least 2 months from my opinion.
Yeah, Echo's been busted. Yeah, especially if you look at the different teams that are going to be playing, the types of champions people are going to play. Obviously, when you're playing at this lower level of play, the iron to platinum kind of bracket, or not iron, it's more like gold platinum kind of bracket is what most teams are averaging out as. A lot of these players are one tricks or specialties in certain roles, and there are definitely different champions which they could take advantage of. And I think 2 of those champions in the mid lane, as you specified, the Galio and of course the Echo, are 2 champions that don't require particularly high skill caps. I mean, Echo is kind of difficult to play, but his skill floor as in the basic level to play the champion isn't that high as required. So a lot of these players will be able to pick him up, especially the mid laner today for our blue side, as she playing for TSS, ASI Whisper. He is Echo one trick, I think, or Echo main. As you see the full roster now, I'll introduce. Up the top lane, you've got the best gotcha. In the jungle, CatLC. In the mid lane, ASI Whisper. In the ADC, Asian Lucian. And in support, Xercameron, making your the Southport School roster up for today. And they did actually beat McGregor in the very first match, as you can see there, which is our current second place team. So obviously, different Marie. I've just been told by a producer, different McGregor team. My bad. So haven't beaten the top team. However, yeah, they're doing quite decently. They've got I think their key player to play around is going to be ASI Whisper. The mid lane Plat 3 player has a very nice champion pool, including that Echo you mentioned before. So very interesting exactly what they bring to the Rift.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious as well. I was looking at Asian Lucian previously as OPGG. I actually managed to get a chance to watch a match. I managed to download a replay. And actually watched the Misfortune. It's actually quite skilled and has really good positioning. Maybe would be nice to get Misfortune in a game, but I think it's highly unlikely. I can't see any major spotlights on anyone else for TSS. However, for SPS, St. Paul School, I see a couple of interesting players like Zed Kay in the top lane, who does play the Ornn, like some of those OP chat, like moderately overpowered. AlexMLC plays like Zach, Warwick, Nunu. Warwick and Nunu are in pretty major spots right now. Mid lane for SPS as well is Admiral KIM, plays the Ryze, really good scaling champion. Would love to see like a late game scaling team comp get picked out that relies on that Ryze to carry. Vladimir, Kassadin, all scaling champions in the mid lane, quite strong. The bot lane for St. Paul's, actually, I think it would be a little bit interesting. Cokiyu, I'm not too familiar with his champion pool. Maybe you've seen it in the past replays. Maybe you can enlighten me. But Shadow Reaper down in support actually plays Senna, Set, and Bard quite actively. I love seeing Senna down in the bot lane. I love even seeing Set support Omnistone. I feel like Bard is just not in a great place right now compared to the other two, though.
Yeah, Bard is one of those champions who is, quite difficult to really nail down how to play it exactly. He's a lot more of a... he was quite strong for a bit and pro play viable, but the problem is he just doesn't have that same skill cap. He has such a high skill cap compared to other supports, and he just doesn't offer... He fits a very niche role for support because he's not necessarily tanky enough to be a big pick champion. He doesn't have enough damage unless you heavily opt into building AP to kind of be one of those magey, like Xerath, kind of just poke you out in lane. He relies on roaming a lot to get his meeps, and relies on a very high skill cap to be able to effectively land ultimates consistently. So being able to do all that really detracts from his viability to support, and also he's one of those champions that you just don't really look to play towards either. He's not one of those champions that particularly is your go-to, because there are just other champions that kind of do the same thing he does, but are slightly easy to play, might look a lot better, or whatever. And yeah, it's very difficult to really pick Bard in a specific scenario.
Yeah, and as you said, it's things that are easy to play, easy to execute, simple to pull off are some of the things that are best to play, especially in, like, as you said, like gold, plat, maybe even that low diamond bracket where your skill margins are so thin, or where you're not so familiar with certain picks you might want to be pulling out. So going easy to execute simple stuff is actually going to make the game so much mechanically easier, and you'll be able to focus a lot more on, say, your general like macro plays, your map rotations. Yeah. Right now, because those are really important in the current meta. Those early dragons, the early heralds, making sure you trade objectives, and just getting general map control has it's been a staple since Season 3.
I think so, yeah.
It's continued since then, especially important now with the elemental dragons.
Yeah, exactly. And bringing a little bit more light towards those elemental dragons, and especially what controls that objective, the bot lane in particular. Having a highlight on the bot lane, it's going to be a very interesting matchup between these two sides, because it's very hard to get an accurate read on Kokiyu's ability as a player, right? He only plays normals. He doesn't really play any solo queue or anything like that. So it's very hard to judge. But from looking at his normal history, he plays a lot of meta 80 carries, so like Kalista, Aphelios, Varus, Vayne too, and has quite decent CS ability, as we are finally jumping into Champion Select now for you guys. And we'll have to see exactly what champions get banned and picked, because we could have a very meta pro level kind of draft. You see that Vayne instantly taken away for the Shadow Reaper.
Yeah, I see Vayne getting taken away is actually just pretty staple. She's kind of strong right now. Unexpectedly, Echo ban followed up, as it would be getting picked against. As would letting ASI Whisper get that would be a disaster.
Yeah, precisely right. Giving that over is one of those champions that will just completely change the map, as you have the rest of these bans coming through. Zach and Olaf taken away. Zach obviously a one-trick specialty of someone on the side of SPS, and Olaf is a very strong jungler that's able to take advantage of a lot of early game mistakes made by the opposite team and can snowball quite hard. So safe bans by both sides coming out here.
Yeah, a lot of bans sort of targeting the one tricks, as we kind of expected walking into it. So they will be a little bit off comfort, but if they've been putting in the effort, they will have some new pocket picks that they may be able to pull out and, reveal to us replays about, just showing what they can do even when they don't have their one trick. So I'm really excited. I was really looking forward to seeing Asian Lucian play the Misfortune, but unfortunately, SPS don't want to see that happen either.
Yeah, exactly. Taking away one of those strong laning picks, and Misfortune Leona, one of the most devastating bot lanes at the moment. See, Garen, the first pick here for the best gotcha up on the top side. A very simple champ. A champ was very solo queue, and it'd be interesting to see how it translates into team play, especially facing up to the Ornn if it gets locked in.
I'm really hoping that gets locked in, and it does. The Forge God himself ready to go. And I'm really hoping that SPS kind of lock in some potentially late game carries, maybe down bot lane, something like a Jinx for Cokiyu would be really interesting, maybe even Xayah. But for now, we see Jarvan in the jungle for AlexMLC and CatLC locking in that Rengar.
Yeah, a very interesting pick. We saw Rengar absolutely demolished last week and pop off from the side of Somerset, but I'll have to see if CatLC can live up to that champion's reputation or here on stream in the Queensland High School Championship. Ryze, a pick for ASI Whisper, could be a very safe pick to play into the scaling that's already been locked in the Jarvan and the Ornn. Already, I'm liking this SPS team comp a little bit more. It looks a little bit more formulated, a little bit more coherent. However, the only downside to that is the fact that I reckon I'd definitely favor TSS in this matchup, purely just because they're high-ranked players in the mid lane, which I think is a more influential role than in the bot lane there with the Shadow Reaper. But depending on what champions he pulls out and if he can get ahead, he can definitely try to match up against this Ryze. And the Diana is a fantastic pick into the Ryze.
Yeah, I was actually kind of shocked to see ASI Whisper pull out the Ryze. However, it was taken away from Admiral KIM. Instead of being banned out, they decided to pull it away as a pick. I think that's actually quite an interesting move. I don't remember how familiar Whisper is with the Ryze himself or herself. I'm not quite sure. But as you mentioned, Diana is actually a pretty strong pick into the Ryze. Can jump straight on his face, take him out, take his AD carry out, and just move on to the rest of his team, especially as the game gets a little bit later on. Ryze might get a little bit tankier. He may be able to survive the initial burst, but maybe not. So we're moving into that second round of bans now. Morgana, Senna, still taking away a couple of those main picks from the remaining players left to pick.
Yeah, and they're quite, meta champions too, right? Morgana's a champion that's going to stop a lot of what this Rengar and Garen want to do, right? Having that CC resistance is a very safe bot lane to take into any engage. And given the fact with this Diana Jarvan, you'd expect them to focus around the mid 2v2 with AlexMC and Admiral KIM, right? You're going to want to pick a relatively safe bot lane, and some of the safest bot lanes have been ruled out. Morgana and Varus been taken away, as well as Kalista, which I don't think they would really want to play anyways.
I could see Yuumi Ezreal getting picked up as like a safe bot lane. There's no reason to not pick it up unless just unfamiliarity with the champions. Both Yuumi and Ezreal are available. I guess I can't really think of what else to really pick for either side.
Aphelios is still available, and Aphelios is a very nice champion to pick up, especially given the fact there's no GP being picked from some of the biggest counters. You see Kai'Sa being locked in is an interesting pick because you still want some teamfight damage, right? Diana isn't enough to solo carry a game, doesn't have enough damage. She has a lot of damage, but probably not enough to really sustain a 5v5, especially against a teamfight that has already Ryze, Rengar, and Garen locked in. This looks like more of a side laning kind of team. So you need to have a really heavy teamfight focused bunch of champions going to force the team to group up. Something like the Xayah Khan would have been good too, but it looks like that could be taken away and picked up by the blue side here. But Blitzcrank could be a very interesting lock-in too.
Yeah, Blitz Xayah as a bot lane is actually fairly strong. I do love Xayah as an AD carry pick in general. That self-peel of the Featherstorm is absolutely insane. Allows you to reposition in team fights and essentially reset your standing in that fight. So you can, adjust and pick the appropriate angle to come in from, get those feathers in, pull them back in, and just unleash utter hell. And oh boy, talking about unleashing utter hell, it looks like we have the pit fighter himself getting locked in. Set support.
I mean, Zed is definitely one of the rising support picks at the moment, been getting better and better recently. He's very interesting to see him picked up in support as well, been transitioned away from the top side. Obviously, it could still be lane swaps, and we don't know 100% where it's going. But the movement around is probably going to be set support, right? Shadow Reaper is a quite high elo support, so he's obviously able to play these other casters. So if you can see exactly what these team fights do overall. But if you look at these two sides, they've got very even comp. One is very obviously a pick comp, 1-3-1 kind of comp. You got Xayah, who's got fantastic wave clear with the feathers in the mid lane to hold that lane, while Ryze and Garen really push these side lanes. And then Blitz and Rengar are going to roam around as a duo, warding and looking for picks. Obviously, Blitz offering the CC, Rengar offering the damage to take out these opponents. Well, on the other side, you've got a very substantiated dive comp, which is aimed to shut down this Xayah and this Ryze before they can get any damage off in team fights. Which is actually plays quite heavily into the Ryze, right? Because Ryze needs to be in close range to deal a lot of damage. He relies on getting up and close so he can hit his Qs and get those spell rotations off and activate the movement speed he gets from his passive. So being able to do that means that this set, who's generally a little bit harder to get engaged, requires a lot more. It's going to be a lot easier for him to actually jump in and grab the Ryze and slam him back into the rest of the team. The Diana and Jarvan have got an excellent dive. Ornn's got an easy ult to hit if that Cataclysm locks up multiple members. And then this Kai'Sa as well can follow in the dive, so she's not isolated when she dives into that backline and just has them destroying team fight from the red side.
Yeah, and as you were talking about, the potential issue with Diana as a team fighter in general is that she only, once she's finished her spell rotation, she doesn't have much to follow up with. However, Cokiyu, on that Kai'Sa, that set, that Ornn, even Jarvan can do a fair chunk of damage and, prolong the team fight before that Diana's second rotation will come up. Kai'Sa will just do constant damage throughout by just with the caffeine rain, all that. However, what I do like out of TSS's comp here is that I actually think that they are going for a really heavy early lead here by having that Rengar jungle by having the Blitz Xayah in the bot lane where they could get aggressive, have that gank come out. I think CatLC could gank pretty much any lane and it would be fairly viable. There's no real escapes on anywhere. No one can really get away super easily.
I'd say top's probably the only gank that's particularly difficult.
Yeah.
Ornn's, pretty tanky, hard to take out. But Kai'Sa instead Kai'Sa's quite a low range AD carry, right? And into the Blitzcrank, this perfect gank set up there, full combo with the kitty. The only problem is with picking this Rengar is it's a very high risk strategy, right? You are heavily relying on the ability to snowball in this early game because if you're not getting ahead by getting this extra few kills, it's going to be very dire when you're trying to actually combat this late game force that the red side have locked in. So it's going to be one of those comps. The TSS are going to have to try and win early, or else they really won't be able to 5v5 unless this Ryze is especially fed. I think the Ryze is going to be the key member for TSS. Yeah,
agreed. As he is that high-low player, as you said earlier, he is probably the focus, and I feel like everyone else is sort of just picking those early game champs just to try to buy time for ASI Whisper to scale up and become huge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things, and scaling is a very contentious term when it comes to League of Legends, right? So it's one of those terms that's kind of a little bit misunderstood by the community. Where, in this game, for example, you would say that Ryze would outscale Diana, right? Or one team outscales the other comp. But there is actually no scaling in play in a game like this because of the ways these two teams want to play the game. The one team has scaling in the side lanes, which means the later this game goes, the stronger their side laning champions are. However, the difference is with another side, right, the red side, they have a better scaling team fight. In 5v5s, their champions overall work better later into the game, but they lose that 1-3-1. So you wouldn't say one comp outscales the other. So it's one of those comps where whoever can play their comp more efficiently and get those leads that really are going to allow them to be better is going to be the main difference between the two sides, right? I do think, though, that I would give the edge here to St. Paul's School because this 5v5 squad is much easier. The 5v5 strategy is much easier to execute. It's a much simpler style of playing the game. Whether a 1-3-1 requires a lot of communications and a very in-depth knowledge of being able to push side lanes. And a very interesting pickup is the Garen has Ignite up on the top side.
Oh, my. That's a bit of a unique one. That does mean he has that little bit of lane advantage against the Ornn, maybe opting to try to get a couple kills. But as the game goes on, that Ignite is going to become less and less valuable, won't it, Replays?
Especially when you're playing 1-3-1 and having that inability to teleport in and really capitalize on the pressure you're drawing in the side lanes is a big question mark towards how TSS are going to want to play out this game. The one thing I would say, usually you wouldn't have an advantage taking Ignite into lane versus Ornn because Ornn usually runs Spellbook, but Zed Kay's Ornn is going to run the Grasp of the Undying, which means it's going to be extra tanky, which means they're obviously opting quite heavily towards that team fight style.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of these team fights come out. The key fact is obviously ASI Whisper, Admiral KIM, and Cokiyu are just going to be so impactful. However, getting caught out by Rengar, that little bit of a pick comp coming out of TSS here, they're looking to get a free kill early and move forwards and just try to propel their lead as much as they can.
Yeah, precisely, right. It's about getting this Rengar fed, I think, and really having him able to support this Ryze in the side lane. Because I think, as I said, ASI Whisper is going to be the key member for the red side here to be able to really, so the blue side, to be able to pop off and then transition later into this game.
So, Replays, who do you feel like won the draft in a sense? Who do you feel, which team has the superior draft? I know they're going for different things, but based on draft alone and what you know of these two teams, who do you think has the advantage? Who would you put your money on in a sense?
I'd say SPS probably, because of that 5v5 style is much easier to execute. Obviously, the best player in the game, in my opinion, I think is ASI Whisper, just looking off OP.GG and looking at historical matches and assessing that compared to ranked data. So this Ryze is going to be a big threat. But I think the 2v2 goes heavily in favor of Diana Jarvan, especially in the early game. And if they can shut Ryze down and get a couple kills on him, get this Diana to go her bruiser build immediately or her burst build, depending on what she wants to build, she's going to be quite terrifying in this early game if she's able to get a bit of a lead, and this Ryze is going to have to play very safely.
Yeah, he's going to need to sit back and just scale up. However, I do see that as potentially dangerous for his side as the highest rated player, as potentially the one who has the most impact. If he performs badly, that is going to be a huge mental blow for him and his side if he falls behind too much. Just thinking about the rest of it, I'm really concerned for TSS if ASI Whisper can't get ahead. CatLC really needs to focus on those mid and bot lanes to really help his carries out. And I think AlexMLC will do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is it's as a Rengar, it's quite difficult to gank, especially the mid lane in the early game, if a player is not hovering correctly. Also, actually, I forgot to mention, obviously we are having a remote broadcast, so it might be a little bit difficult to sync up. I think a pause happened in-game anyway, so hopefully that syncs up for us, but if not, we will be pausing at 15 seconds and checking with the producer and each other that we're all synced up so we can all bring you the information you're seeing on stream. But yeah, going back to that point, yeah, I definitely think as a Rengar, it's very difficult to gank the mid lane early on, right? Because you rely on those brushes to get the engage. Of course, can be done right, and empowered E is still a line skill shot very similar to an Elise gank. However, if that's not happening, then it's going to be difficult to really execute around these objectives and work on getting. All right. Looks like we'll be pausing at 25 seconds to sync up. I'll let you know when I'm around there.
I am ready to go.
Yeah, I'm at 25. You want to count us down, Mr. Producer Man? All right, so we should all be synced up, and there should be no more issues for the rest of the cast. Fingers crossed. However, only so much can be assured at the moment, as is online brasking. We can always move around, but if that's not the case, we'll have to move through, and we jump immediately into a pause, which is great to see. So
shouldn't take too long to come out of it then.
We'll be waiting around for this pause. But again, going back to these team comps, I mean, there's only so much you can say. I think this top lane matchup might be particularly volatile, and I hope to see CatLC play around his top lane in this Garen, because if Garen gets ahead, his ability with the more damage focused build that Garen goes, right, if he gets far enough ahead, he can just simply spin on anyone he wants to, ult them, and they're just dead immediately because he does a ridiculous amount of damage and it just doesn't die.
I just love it. I love to see those Garens who are just so tanky, but deal so much damage with their spin, and then they just drop the Demacia Justice straight on top of your face, and you're just obliterated. Like, there is nothing left of you on Summoner's Rift, it feels like. Looking at it as well, I do like the fact that Zed Kay on the Ornn has the potential ability to do the triple or even quadruple Ornn proc for his Brittle. And that could really help contest that lane advantage that Garen has with that ignites ever so slightly, if he can pull it off. It is a moderate to high skill cap requirement to be able to do so. Yeah. And I feel like the other lanes are kind of volatile in the sense that as long as you don't make too heavy of a mistake, you aren't going to get too heavily punished.
Yeah, precisely, right. I mean, I think another lane all these lanes are quite volatile, right? They're all lanes that can go either way. There's not a heavy favorage towards any lane, except maybe I'd say in the bot side, where the Blitzcrank has a lot of threat onto the set and the Kai. So the one thing I do say, though, if you do pull a set in with the Blitzcrank, he's pretty tanky, and that's going to instantly stack up a fair portion of grit. And then from there, we see, an invade.
That's just not looking really good for Set there. However, he does manage to dodge the Blitzcrank hook. Now the brittle charge is like trying to knock through. Unfortunately, this does not look bad. As a nice grit haymaker comes out of Set now. They're trying to just charge through now. We're trying to see what Garen can do. Can they take down Zed Kay? He has that ignite. He's still holding onto it for now. But look how low CatLC is. He needs to get away. He's now burning away. He may end up falling down. First blood ends up going over towards Cokiyu. And now they're going to keep chasing down. This looks really bad for Xercameron. He tries to do his best to save Whisper. Whisper may be able to get away thanks to that Blitz hook. But that is 2 quick kills going over to SPS.
Especially going towards that mid lane there, and then also the jungle. Sorry, not the bot lane and the jungle role as well. Unfortunately, no one's able to get back in time, so they're going to be stuck facing up here. But this is really, really bad for the Rengar. Right? He didn't die, so he had to actually physically waste his time backing, because it's actually the respawn timers at level 1 are much quicker than resetting. So he's not going to get a leash, which means he's going to be even slower behind on this jungle tempo. And I think Jarvan here should probably go for an invade onto the red buff. Oh, Diana having some heavy trading in the mid lane. Of course, being quite heavily chunked out because of that early fight. But if Jarvan goes for an invade, I don't think Rengar can fight a level 2 Jarvan.
No, I don't think so either. What I would like Rengar to do is go around and get a quick and easy gank on Admiral KIM in the mid lane. Like, we see that it has no sums. ASI Whisper still has flash and even has teleport available to come back in straight away. Oh, it looks like Xercameron might be looking for a bit of a cheesy pull down bot lane, though.
I mean, you hope this Ryze went, if Ryze went EW, then definitely you could set up for that 2v2. But if he hasn't got that insta-root, as we see up on the top side, Garen getting poked out very heavily.
Yeah, talking about getting poked out, looks like Blitzcrank will end up falling down. Shadow Ripper takes his first kill of the game. And look at this, already a 3-0 lead over towards SPS. And look at this, this is what I was talking about could happen top lane. Oh my god, what's happening down mid lane right now? Did Admiral KIM just like soft in that by just charging straight in? ASI Whisper forced to flash away. Unfortunately, Admiral KIM cannot get that kill. And yeah, now he's kind of thrown the potential like lead he could have had.
I mean, this lane is very volatile, right? It's this game has been thrown very much out of what we expected to happen because of that early level 1 fight, right? No one got to reset properly and get back to their lane, so the gold advantage gained by the first blood team hasn't been spent. The team's leaders don't have the health pool to really sustain. We see Rengar going down in the jungle.
Yeah, and talking about not having a health pool, AlexMLC does not have one either, and now Zed Kay trying to get a 1 kill onto CatLC for this. He needs to get away. He get caught by the bowler strike, and the kill actually goes straight over to ASI Whisper, who's now 3-0. They were 0-3, now it's 3-3. The game has evened up. ASI Whisper has got a massive lead on this Diana, and I expect him to carry this game already. Like, if he cannot keep this up and carry through. Oh my god, that's a real nice hook into a Rocket Fist, which will take down Shadow Ripper. Maybe not as he gets the Ignite dropped onto him by Blitzcrank. He should fall. He's already used the Haymaker. Will he burn out? Does he have a pot? Did he have a pot going?
Yeah.
Maybe he did, and it looks like he is saved with use of his 80 carries heal.
Yeah, and very explosive bot lane. Both these sides extremely low. Kite's the only one with some semblance of health. Might look for a Void Seeker to try and finish off one of these two players if they do stay around and get a little bit greedy. But looks like they will be backing off the top side as well. The Ornn going down. I mean, Ryze, we haven't even had a time to touch on it because this game's just been explosively with trading in lanes. But Ryze is in such a good position now. He's got the blue buff, double buff there, as you can see in the mid lane, which means he's not going to run into early mana issues, which is one of Ryze's biggest problems. He's also going to be more accelerated, obviously a champ with extreme scaling items required to steal. Diana going down.
This is really bad for Admiral KIM. Just walked up. I really expected CatLC to be in like a bit of a pickle there, as I thought like AlexMLC and KIM were going to collapse in together. But for some reason, Admiral KIM chose to go in on his own without the support of his jungler. May have just been not quite thinking where the Rengar was, which is quite unfortunate as he hands pretty much a free kill over to this Rengar as well.
Yeah, I mean, this game has definitely swung. You think from the early skirmish that the red side would have a big advantage, but has not been the case. I mean, in the bot lane, they're definitely still ahead, right? The bot lane is probably looking at the area for the red side, but this jungle mid duo that we thought was going to be such a crucial part of the red side's game plan has kind of fallen away a little bit, and this Diana especially has kind of gotten rid of a large lead, and especially in the jungle too, Jarvan had a massive lead on the Rengar and hasn't really capitalized on the fact that he had to reset and had a really poor jungle start, and that's going to be a very difficult for him to really try and exploit it now that this Rengar's kind of started to get snowballing.
Now that Rengar's finally got ability, his Bone-Tooth Necklace is going to come out anytime soon. He's got the Tiamat now, a good chunk of extra damage. He's hit that little power spike now, and oh boy, Ryze got the Tear of a Goddess, got a Sapphire Crystal, got some boots. He's looking to take that Serious Embrace pretty early, and are we about to see a set engage? He does a Face Breaker, pulling in this Xayah. He doesn't have a Showstopper available yet. He's not level 6, but that does not matter as Cokiyu will take another kill. He's now 2-0. So as we can see, it quite literally is a battle of ASI Whisper versus Cokiyu and Shadow Reaper, as you kind of called out earlier, as we see a bit of a Realm Warp coming in behind the bot lane for SPS now. This could be disastrous as ASI Whisper may end up taking 2 more quick kills here. He just needs to take down Shadow Reaper first, but this is really bad. ASI Whisper may have just hard thrown 2 kills going over there. Now, CatLC does his best trying to clean up, gets 1 kill first. Will he be able to get Shadow Reaper? Shadow Reaper is forced to run into enemy territory to try to get away. However, up top lane, we're about to see, this is just horrible for Best Gotcha, and I think he's the one who got at the end of that, and CatLC will end up finishing off the set at the end of that fight down bot lane. I need some there.
What a game is this? It's just explosive 1 kill after another. We have 13 kills at 6 minutes, and it spread all across the board. The only player with no deaths is this Rengar. Obviously, Ryze going down there to try and get a little bit further ahead, but unfortunately didn't get to capitalize on those kills. Ornn almost going down to a tower. They're staying around too. Obviously,
almost.
Garen doesn't have the TP to come capitalize on this, and we see Jarvan looking for a bit of an invade too. But it's just been a very explosive game. Neither side is particularly... I don't know who benefits from this, right? Because as I said, both these teams don't really have high tempo early games. I think Rengar's pretty much the only champion that's quite happy with this start, right? Kai'Sa's pretty happy too, sitting there 4-1. And I'm pretty sure Ryze is happy on 3-1, these more scaling champs. But it's just been a very explosive start. And I think both these sides need to just take a minute to kind of just reset, start thinking about what we need to do to win this game, and stop going for these engages and heavy trades in lane, and just need to relax, take a breath, and really focus on what we're doing, because it's one of those games where you start fighting a lot and everyone, you just kind of go, we'll just fight all game, right? And it's one of those tricky situations where the team that's got the better team fights is eventually going to win. So I think especially for TSS here, even though they have that Fed Ryze, which is going to destroy team fights and do a ridiculous amount of damage, it's still about remembering to slow down and start working through what you need to do, which is why they picked up that Ocean Drake just before. Yeah,
that's a real nice Face Breaker coming out of set there, followed by a Haymaker. Void Seeker landing, however, Set gets pulled back into tower. Kind of expected a little bit more to happen there. I'm actually really shocked that that bot lane play out of ASI Whisper didn't end up working. I just don't think it was properly communicated or timed with the rest of his team. And I think that's why he got focused on it and taken out so quickly.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I think neither side has had particularly... No one's really been on parallel with each other, right? It's that the communication between the members of each team hasn't been as concise and clear, especially that, that pick earlier where Diana got taken out by the Rengar and the Jarvan was killing wolves. It's one of those things where the Jarvan should have come up and supported, or she should have known that Rengar was around there, or just had a little bit more preparation around.
Well, that's exactly real nice gang coming out of Jarvan there. Cataclysm on top of Asian Lucian. I just don't think he's going to get away. Neither will AlexMLC as he falls down. Xercameron gets a bit of a trade kill. However, he is now stuck between a rock and a hard place, as Set and Kai'Sa are looking to add 1 more kill to their belts, and it's going to go straight over to Cokiyu.
Yep, only taking 1 tower shot there, and the double buff transfer complete. Over a positive trade, obviously 1-for-1's not optimal, but at the end of the day, it is a big player put onto this Kai'Sa, and this game is turning into a little bit of a Ryze and Rengar versus Kai'Sa Set. As the Fed members of both sides. Diana here hovering down toward the bot side, but she looks like she's going to take away jungle camp. Not looking to get any more advantage there, but interesting build out of Diana going for a wit's end. I don't think I've ever seen a Diana build that.
That's really unique. That could be... I suppose it could be one of those new to like 200 IQ strats, but we'll have to see how effective it is. I suppose it's like decent in the sense that it may help you get a little bit more MR, a little bit more magic damage out, like to deal with this Ryze. But I don't know. I suppose like Ryze is the only real threat this TSS side have right now, and this could be pretty bad for AlexMLC. However, we see Admiral KIM jumping straight on top of Whisper. Whisper is now trying to do his best to take down AlexMLC, and it looks like Admiral KIM and Alex will end up both going down together. Maybe they see maybe they take this chance to dive under tower here. Oh, they will pop the Herald. Ornn drops that Call of a Forge God. Maybe he'll take out Whisper. Gets a nice Q proc, Brittle proc, and down goes the Ryze. And oh my goodness, this could be bad as CatLC. Herald charges in, flag and drag across. CatLC ends up falling down to the Jarvan. Flag smash, and oh boy, that's a lot of gold out once again. This game is just so... Are we on a seesaw replays?
This looks like WWE Royal Rumble at the moment. Everyone's just coming into fighting, and of course the Pit King himself said is one of the ones taking the biggest advantage from it all. Up in the top side, a fantastic roam down by the Ornn there. It's a really smart play by Ornn. Obviously, lost a little bit of minions, but it was definitely worth it getting the shutdown onto 2 members. Also smart from AlexMLC to stay around, so maybe that communication getting slightly better on page. But yeah, again, this Diana's build is one of the most peculiar things I've seen. Looks like he's also going towards Berserker Greaves too. I mean, I myself have been playing a fair bit of Diana this week. I've been trying to pick her up recently, as she's one of she's been strong for a while, and I need another easy to play AP assassin into my kind of champion pool to replace my main that got gutted earlier this season.
Who was it?
Aurelion Sol.
Oh, I wonder. I don't play him at all either.
The 2-1 trick back in the day, but again, all these champions are very I mean, this Kai'Sa is looking huge. Jarvan's going to be bigger too. Happy to see him go towards that Cinderhulk build, considering the amount of damage that's going to be in this game because everyone's fed. Ooh.
I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more come out of that, but now Facebreaker may come out of set. Pull back Asian Lucian. He's stuck in. He gets that Showstopper thrown back into the enemy AD carry, and back to the base he goes. I'm talking about getting pulled backwards. It looks like Cokiyu gets hit by a hook. I'm kind of expecting we see CatLC jump straight onto AlexMLC and take him out as well. Facebreaker with a Haymaker as well. They are really chasing down as the ultimate comes out of Kai'Sa. The Ignite may be enough as the Void Seeker narrowly misses. Just walk in there, Cokiyu. There's no reason to be scared right now. And also, the cost of that is going to be your support's life. Ooh, he poses a stopwatch to try to survive as long as he can, and he will manage to save himself. Oh my god, I would like some air at some point, but CatLC jumps straight on top of Zed Kay. Yikes.
This game is just back and forth, end to end. A good dive put off by the bot lane there, and this Kai'Sa is massively ahead of this enemy bot lane.
This could be the end of Zed Kay here. Nope, forced to flash away over the wall, drops a Call of a Forge guy. He may be looking to turn onto CatLC if that hits. But oh my goodness. Are these teams going to stop fighting? Please stop fighting?
I don't think they're going to stop fighting. The rest
Wait,
of this
flash in from Garen, spin to win, drops a Damashi and Gus's. May that Ignite end up coming out? He gets that big shield. He'll end up falling down, it looks like, to the tower aggro. What's going on?
This game, man. It's just...
Like, 24 kills at 13 minutes.
What am I supposed to say? It's just pure fighting. I mean, it's fantastic watching for everybody.
I love it.
I think Max would be very disappointed he's missing this week because he loves games like this that get down and dirty and back to back, and he gets to shine as his play-by-play casting comes out constantly, but unable to be around it. But the first tower of the game looks like it's going to go over to the blue side. Obviously, drop the Herald, so that makes sense, but it's not the tower they drop the Herald on that goes down the top side, falling, and more gold going over to this Rengar, who's 5-1 and 2 with this Dustbladed Drakar. Fully built on him, rushed it before even his jungle item, so he'll be very, very strong. And I think a bit of armor is going to be essential for the red side here.
Again, really getting caught out by another Facebreaker into a Showstopper. Getting put back. There's Jarvan as well. Oh man, that is just unfortunate for Asian Lucian. I just do not think he's respecting this this set support at all.
Yeah, I mean, the set as well, being able to get all these pullbacks constantly, it's kind of one of those things where every time Blitz hooks in this set, it just spells doom for his AD carry Xayah, because he just set, all he wants to do is get a gap closer to get in, right? He doesn't have a dash, one of the only new champions coming out recently that doesn't have one of those, and relies on the movement speed from his Q to get up and actually get his engage off. But the fact that he's getting hooked in by this Blitzcrank means he's in the fight already, gets his grit stacked up, means he's able to then instantly get the Facebreaker on to get the CC down, and a beautiful showstopper mechanics, especially with the flash coming out from him, able to quickly turn that around.
This is real bad for TSS here. They start collapsing under their own weight. An amazing Realm Warp coming out of ASI Whisper to save his allies there. That is really good. Really well played. Really like just calm thinking, knowing exactly what to do there. Actually saves CatLC's life.
Interesting to see this Ryze as well is not going to go for the Rod of Ages either. I thought with the extra gold influx and the amount of fighting in the game, you could definitely go in for that, but you can also argue on the other side, it's important to have your damage out as soon as possible when a game like this is so explosive. and you're against a 7-in-1 side, there's no time to scale, because if you do opt for that scaling build, the game could potentially be over before you hit your power.
Yeah, what is the scaling build right now is what is it? Seraph's Embrace with a Rod of Ages, gets that full stack up.
Yeah.
And just
well,
and
you go tier into Roa into finish Seraphs into probably Zhonya's or something, or Deathcap. It depends if you're ahead or behind.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much you can do, right, with scaling champions, but that's the traditional build. I mean, Diana's supposed to be a Roa champion too, right? You go Roa into Nash's, or if you're going for Burst, you go Proto into Zhonya's, but I was opted for this interesting West End build. Like,
oh my goodness, CatLC just absolutely obliterates Admiral KIM. Now it looks like AlexMLC is the next one to fall down, trying to get a nice flash over the wall to get him away. He is ignited. Doesn't look like anyone's going to chase.
Gets away there, but 1-for-1 overall. But yeah, as I was about to say before Diana got blown up, is the Wits End isn't really that relevant against the Ryze, right? Because Ryze is the only form of magic damage, but Ryze deals damage over a long period of time, and Diana with the Conqueror stacks instantly with her ability chain, right? Her W procs it 3 times, plus autos you're weaving in between. You pretty much instantly get 10 stacks of Conqueror, which means you're getting an absurd amount of healing. So it would have been more beneficial to rush that Zhonya's, if anything, to survive the burst from this Rengar, because he's really the only threat at the moment on the blue side that's going to instantly blow you up. Xayah is too far behind. Ryze hasn't got his items out yet. And, you know, as the Diana, as I said before, you tank enough with a Roa build to kind of sustain that. Or even with your burst build, you've got enough health pool to kind of wait for the Ryze to kind of do his DPS. But, you know, this Rengar is really the thing you got to worry about. He's got the Darkblade of Drakar.
That's a rough name, isn't it? You were about to say Dustblade of a Ruined King, weren't you?
No, I don't know. I was just trying to say Drakar, but it's just tricky to see. Ooh.
Yeah, this is real bad for Shadow Reaper getting caught out.
Yeah, obviously getting to his wards, but obviously by himself, the set traditionally could take that on, but in the support role doesn't have that gold, doesn't have those damage items to be able to do it. And Infernal Rift as well is going to even help the fighting more and more
I do want to talk about this set's items briefly replays. The Knight's Vow, I feel like that's a little strange. I would have personally rushed something along the lines of the Geigo's Stoneplate, get that tankiness. You know, get those tank stats when you dive straight into the enemy team. Obviously, with a really fed Kai'Sa, that Knight's Vow will help her. But I think just for straight stats would be a lot more helpful at this point.
Yeah, I think the Gargoyle Stoneplate is definitely probably a stronger item. I think he's probably going to go towards a Frozen Heart next, with that Glacial Shroud in his inventory, which I assume he will obviously turn into a Frozen Heart or Iceborne Gauntlet. I'd probably rather see a Frozen Heart, because once he dives in, he's going to get that slow AoE attack speed nerf on everybody. You see the Infernal Dragon getting taken away as Rift Herald is dropped as a distraction.
Yep, that's the word. Distraction. You know.
Distraction. God.
Oh boy.
As we see this going down in the mid lane, looks like we might see another big team fight here with all 5 members grouping around this mid lane. Blitzcrank looking for a hook, but don't think.
I do want to point out, Shadow Reaper has flash available. He can pull out like a flash face breaker, and like, I don't know, pull in Asian Lucian, pull in ASI Whisper or CatLC, and that'll really spell disaster for this TSS side. And what's disastrous for SPS right now is this Jarvan getting caught out and just obliterated by the combined might of TSS. And that's exactly what you want to see them do with this Blitzcrank.
Is get those picks, even though that was a bit of an interesting stance taken there by AlexMLC. Walked up by himself to just order the tower with the rest of his team in the jungle. Look at the fight continues though. Yeah,
Diana doing the best that she can. She's getting quite low. Demacian does almost finish off the Ignite. Here comes Set with a nice facebreaker. He has a Showstopper available. Ends up pulling it back to pull away the Blitzcrank on his own. And this is just horrific. Going, what was that? 3 for 2? No, 3 for 1.
It was a 3v1 too, right? So
yeah,
the Ornn obviously off in the side lane getting that pressure for the rest of his side, but just a follow-up engaged by the Garen running in, and Diana getting a little bit too aggressive here with the interesting items builds here.
Oh my goodness, that Ornn combo we're about to see. Like, this is the triple Ornn combo I was talking about replays. And here it is, he's trying his best to chase down CatLC, but I don't think he'll be able to chase that Cap through the jungle.
Yeah, burning the flash there as well as not as important on a big tank like Ornn, but still losing that summoner spell is quite crucial. See, Ornn hasn't even completed an item yet as we're getting towards the 20-minute mark, but obviously going for that Bramble Best to give him a little bit more of support in lane Ninja Tab I2 before opting to get his Forge Fire Cape. So not getting that item just yet, but obviously we'll quickly complete the classic Abyssal Mask Forge Fire Cape combination. So you see just more sides coming out. Look, glad to see the blue side actually, sorry, not the blue side, the red side taking advantage of these side lanes and not just letting the gold go to waste. As you see, TSS have kind of been grouped around this mid lane here and been staying looking for fights, while the red side's been a little bit more spread out. But
oh, this could be a little bit bad for the best gotcha here, as he was kind of outnumbered for a brief moment. I was kind of expecting that fight to break out a little bit faster.
Yeah, that was real uncharacteristic for this game.
Yeah, Cokiyu was a bit far away, so maybe the SPS side is a little bit scared to go in without their 8-1 Kai'Sa.
Yeah, he was just usually every other time in their game that would have been a big brawl and they would have gone down one by one and Kai'Sa would have cleaned up or something. But
someone's going down one by one, and it looks like for number one is going to be AlexMLC on that Jarvan. Zed gets a nice blast crone to send himself out of the pit. Could this? No, they aren't going to like push for Baron here. Kai'Sa's a bit too fed, but if they can kill her by moving up like this, get a nice little hook. Unfortunately, it misses, but does not matter. CatLC just does 100 to 0s for fed Kai'Sa, and he's a very fed kitty.
Yeah, I mean 9-2-4, 8-2-4, the two carries for either side. Obviously, the Rengar assassination coming out. Kai'Sa isolated by herself is unable to have some support from the set, which should actually stop the Rengar jump if he's quick enough with that face pull. However, that Kai'Sa just gets instantly deleted and looks like she's going towards a Phantom Dancer, but I don't think that's even enough to sustain against this Rengar's burst. You need something like the Zhonya's Hourglass, I think, and it's kind of funny to only see neither of these squishy carries building that item yet. I know if I was in this game, I would have instantly rushed to the Zhonya's or put it at some point, especially the fact that your AD carry can actually build Zhonya's, because it's an item that, obviously AD carries usually can't. Yeah, but Kai'Sa is actually able to build the Zhonya's, and it's very common in her build paths. However, not opting for it just yet, and obviously opting instead of that power, but now maybe being taken out by this Rengar will mean she'll have to change up exactly what she's going for.
Yeah, I could see it being put out as like that next item, or at least for stopwatch, if nothing else. Like buys her that little bit of time. She sees Rengar flying in at mock speed. Oh no, I'm gonna hit whatever button Kai'Sa's binded it to, and I'm okay. Maybe my teammates can come and help me out. Zed can prepare a face breaker or showstopper via Rengar away. Buy me some time to take out the rest of their team.
Well, Rengar's an assassin, right? He doesn't want to stay in the fight for a long time. He wants to jump in, burst one champion out, get out of the way, come back in again, especially the fact that he's offered for that Electrocute over the Conqueror. You traditionally see Rengars go for a Conqueror, which means they can stay in a fight for a lot longer, and given the fact it gives you pretty much the same damage burst in terms of raw AD or AP as Electrocute, a lot of assassins have been opting towards that because it allows them to turn into pseudo bruisers if you build the right items. Obviously, Rengar's been far enough ahead that he can just go for the instant one-shot build. But again, if he has that Conqueror in or something to sustain in fights, he's able to sit around. But generally, the 3 seconds that you can use the Zhonya's to sustain that fight is enough for you to be able to, for the Rengar to have to jump out before he gets blown up by the rest of your team. But this Infernal Dragon, not a really important dragon actually, because neither sides are close to Soul Point. I mean, maybe the red side could want it, but they can afford to give one up. But instead, looks like we'll have a little bit of a contest around this Infernal Dragon. Outnumbered though they are, and we'll go over to the blue side. Yep,
that Realm Warp actually pulls a Ryze away from his team. Now that's basically sacrificing both his AD carry and his support to this SPS side. That is just unfortunate. That was just a horrible misplay by ASI Whisper. I really thought they should have gone to fight that. But unfortunately, this looks horrible as they start falling down like flies.
Yeah, obviously, Blitzcrank flashing over the wall there to get away, but the best got teleporting into... Or not teleporting. He also just walked in, but he was like on the other side of the map, so I don't know exactly how that happened. And are Reds going towards Baron? I mean, Kai'Sa, which is an instant Baron, right?
Absolutely. There's a straight Baron. Kai'Sa will be able to clear that any second now. Ryze is too far away. There's no Realm Warp for them to catch up quickly. And look at this, as the rest of TSS respawning, they're taking so much time to get there. This could be just straight over with no contest, and that looks like it's going to be the case.
Yeah, it will be, but Rengar coming in now is going to be very careful when exiting this fight, but looks like they're going to go fight head on.
Oh, Rengar almost getting caught up, but he does manage to almost kill Admiral KIM in one go. Quick kill coming out there, but he will go down himself, and I just don't think that's worth it to the TSS, sorry, to the TSS side. Yeah,
TSS side, yeah.
It's worth it for FPS.
Yeah, the Fed Rengar goes down. It's confusing having the two double S teams in the game, but yeah, of course, Rengar here goes down, gives the shutdown over. Of course, you lose Baron, one of your members, but the Jarvan's not going to be a split push. You're not going to be in the lane by himself, so you're not losing a humongous amount by having him without that Baron. I really want to see the red side now take advantage of this. I want Diana in the side lane and the rest of the 4 members sitting around this mid lane sieging up, or obviously the bot side as well, the opposite side of the map, and taking down as many towers as they can and getting as much a gold lead as possible, because Ryze is only getting stronger and stronger. Rengar still able to one-shot. Ryze actually going for the rower after all. Interesting to buy that a little bit later, so obviously deciding this game was going to last a little bit longer. But the red side are firmly in the driver's seat here, a 5,000k gold lead on their side. And but the thing is, these fights don't seem too one-sided, because the damage is all stacked. Also, all the gold is stacked on 1 or 2 carries for both sides. Yeah,
the rest of them are just kind of like having a wet noodle fight while the carries just come in and, you know, drop that tactical nuke straight on their target. Like, we see this Rengar just flying in on top of Kai'Sa. I'm a little shocked we still haven't seen that, like, a stopwatch getting picked up on by Cokiyu yet, but he has pulled out at least that he's looking maybe at going for a Guardian Angel.
I think, hopefully, or something like that. I think it'll allow him to stay in the fight for a little bit longer.
My goodness, that was insane. Even Call of a Forge got hits as well. 2 more kills onto Cokiyu. And yikes. This could be game, yeah.
I think so. I mean, you can see that damage from the Kai'Sa, and once she gets fed those 80 carries in the early game, 4 items already completed on her. I mean, she's going to be doing absurd amount of damage, and I think she's going towards the IE, actually. I think that's what that is, but I think no matter what, this mid lane's kind of done, right? They got the Baron powered minions, they're running in here, they got the 2 tanks up in the front line, Kai'Sa just decimating anyone and everyone. They've still got 20 seconds on respawn time, but I think this could be the end of the game.
Yep, Xayah falls down, doing the best that she can to buy time, but unfortunately it is not enough. Garen's falling the exact same way. And the members of SPS now focus onto the base, and it looks like they're going to take this victory unless CatLC can do something about it, and no, he cannot.
It gets the Diana down, but the Kai'Sa survives, and what an explosive 26-minute game. There were 26 kills for one side over on that game. That was, what, an average of 1.8 kills a minute?
Yeah, that was actually pretty insane. I loved watching it. That was hype as.
That was an incredible game from both sides. Obviously, coming away with the victory was SPS. Obviously, the stronger draft, and it was just from minute 1, just constant fights. There were 3 kills in the first 2 minutes of the game, and it just pretty much continued going from there. Wow, what a game!
Yeah, that was really fun to watch. I'm actually a little bit shocked that we hyped up Whisper so much. We did hype up CatLC's Rengar being quite impactful if he did manage to get ahead, and he did do well.
Yeah.
I feel like CatLC did the best on his team. He tried valiantly, got so far, but unfortunately, Cokiyu, the unknown variable, the X factor, if you will, for his team, really came out and shined with Shadow Reaper's support.
Yeah, and I would have to say, if I'm giving an MVP for this game, it would be Shadow Reaper playing that set support. As much as Cokiyu was the key carry and did a ridiculous amount of damage, I still think Shadow Reaper was one of the key reasons behind the success. Every time we looked down towards the bot side, it was Shadow Reaper getting the flash engage, Shadow Reaper, landing that, I want to say like a Lee Sin kick, because it's not an insect, right? When you flash behind an ult back, obviously it's like a Lee Sin mechanic. But I saw that. I didn't even know you could animation cancel the R on set.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I've been playing a little bit of set myself, so I'm happy to I think I've learned a couple new tricks that I might be able to pull out when I play set support next time. Maybe I rush that 9th vow if my carry's really fed.
Yeah, precisely, right. And overall, who do you think yours MVP for the game? You agree with me on Shadow Reaper?
I have to agree with you and say Shadow Reaper. Part of me wants to say CatLC, even though he's on the losing side. He tried so hard, was so impactful, had really good target priority, and the only real fault I could point out was just over-aggression and getting caught out.
Yeah, exactly right. And you could see that, especially in that last little play before the game ended, right? It was CatLC, the first one to go down for his side, which is kind of funny because the play before was when, the fight before was when he just decimated Cokiyu, and then Cokiyu did exactly the same back to the Rengar sitting on his blue buff, wanting to take that objective away. But overall, a very explosive match, and obviously SPS winning means they'll be on 12 wins, even with TSS, and even with this big pack of teams in the middle of our tiebreakers, which will be happening next week. So the regular season of the Queensland High School League is now over. We will be coming to you next week with tiebreakers to see exactly which teams will make our top 16 and of which teams in that top 16 are going to be placed where. I don't know if we have specific win tiebreakers, but obviously if we do, we'll probably bring you one of those games, or we might bring you an elimination game for some teams you haven't seen that are a little bit further down the ladder, as we do have, I believe, upwards of 40 teams in our bracket at the moment, which is a ridiculous amount of players being involved from all these schools, and it's great to see all these schools getting behind it. But at the end of that explosive game, I would like to say thank you for watching on behalf of all of Queensland High School Esports. I was Mitch, replays Anderson, and I was joined by Kana. Thank you guys for tuning in.